Out of all her guys, I'm the smallest. Apparently that's a punchline now. My name is Evan Porter, and I'm 38 years old. I design software for a living, which means I spend most of my day staring at screens and solving problems that other people create. I'm good at it. Really good. But according to my wife Talia, being good at something that doesn't involve biceps or a trust fund makes me cute in the way you'd describe a hamster. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Last Tuesday night changed everything. We were having dinner with her usual crew, Jenna West and Danielle Pruitt, two women who treat gossip like an Olympic sport. They were sitting in our dining room picking at the salmon I'd cooked when Talia pulled out her phone. "Girls, you have to see this," she said, swiping to our wedding photos. "Look how tiny Evan looks next to my cousin Brad. I mean, seriously, how did I even marry this guy?" The laughter that followed wasn't the kind you hear at comedy shows. It was sharp, cutting, the kind that leaves marks. Jenna nearly choked on her wine, and Danny actually slapped the table. "Oh my God, Talia," Jenna wheezed. "You could do so much better now. I mean, look at you." I stayed calm. That's my superpower, staying calm when everyone else loses their minds. I set down my fork, looked directly at my wife of 7 years, and said, "Well, if I'm so disappointing, maybe you should go find something bigger." The laughter stopped. Talia's smile flickered like a fading light bulb. "It's just a joke, Evan. Don't be so sensitive." But it wasn't just a joke. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing things. The way she'd hide her phone screen when I walked into a room. The networking events that ran until 2 in the morning. The new workout routine that had her at the gym 6 times a week. I work with computers for a living, which means I understand patterns, and Talia's patterns were screaming. The breaking point came on a Thursday. I was at work sharing coffee with Derek Lang, my closest friend in the office and the only person who can match my sarcasm word for word. Derek's 40, divorced, and has the cynical wisdom that comes from watching his own marriage implode. "You look like someone stole your lunch money," Derek said, settling into the chair across from my desk. "Worse, someone stole my dignity and posted it online." Derek raised an eyebrow. "Explain." I pulled up my laptop and showed him what I'd discovered that morning. Talia had created a private social media group called Girls' Night Confessions. The membership list included Jenna, Danny, and about 15 other women from her social circle. The content was educational. There were photos of me sleeping, unflattering shots taken from below while I was reading on the couch, even a picture of me in my underwear that she'd apparently taken while I was getting dressed. The captions were worse than the photos. "My husband versus my gym trainer. Spot the difference," read one post, featuring a side-by-side comparison of me and some muscle-bound guy I'd never seen before. Another post showed a screenshot of our text conversation from the previous week, where I'd asked her to pick up groceries. Her commentary, "This is what I get messages about while Colton sends me actual fire emojis." Derek whistled low. "Jesus, Evan, this is brutal." "It gets better," I said, scrolling down. "Look at this one." The post was from 3 days ago, a photo of a hotel keycard with the caption, "Guess who's getting an upgrade tonight? Spoiler alert, it's not happening at home." The comments were a chorus of encouragement from her friends. "Get it, girl. You deserve better. Trade up." I closed the laptop and looked at Derek. "So, there it is. I'm officially the punchline of my own marriage. What are you going to do?" I leaned back in my chair, feeling something cold and sharp settling in my chest. "I'm going to stop being the joke." Derek grinned. "Now that sounds like the Evan I know. What's the plan?" "I'm still working on it, but I can tell you this much. She thinks she's running the show. Time to break the stage." That night, I went home and acted completely normal. I asked Talia about her day, listened to her complain about work, and even complimented her new workout clothes. She seemed surprised by my good mood. "You're being unusually nice tonight," she said, curled up on the couch with her phone. "Just appreciating what I have," I replied. "You never know when things might change." She smiled and went back to her texting. I could see the name Colton at the top of her screen. I spent the rest of the evening in my home office, supposedly working on a client project. Instead, I was doing research. I'd learned a long time ago that information is power, and I was about to become very powerful. By midnight, I knew everything about Colton Brewer. 29 years old, personal trainer at Elite Fitness downtown, drives a leased BMW, and according to his very public Instagram account, has a girlfriend named Vanessa, who thinks they're exclusive. I also knew that Talia had been paying for his gym's premium membership package for the past 2 months, charging it to our joint credit card. She'd been clever about it, spreading the payments across different dates and categorizing them as health and wellness. But I'd always been better at details than she was. The next morning, Talia left for work in a particularly good mood, humming while she applied makeup that seemed more elaborate than usual. "Big day today?" I asked. "Just feeling good about myself," she said, kissing my cheek. "You should try it sometime." After she left, I sat in our kitchen drinking coffee and thinking about the past 7 years. We'd met at a company party. She was in marketing for a client. I was the tech guy explaining why their website kept crashing. She'd been impressed by how I could fix problems that stumped everyone else. "You're like a magician," she'd said that night, "making impossible things possible." Now she was making our marriage disappear, one secret at a time. I pulled out my phone and opened the group chat she didn't know I could see. The latest post was from this morning, a gym selfie with Colton's arm around her waist. The caption read, "Starting the day right. Some people inspire you to be better." The comments were already rolling in. Jenna had written, "Damn girl, look at those arms." Danny added, "Your husband could never." I screenshot everything, saved it to a secure folder, and started making a list. If Talia wanted to play games, I was about to show her what happens when you challenge someone who designs systems for a living. The joke was about to turn, and this time, I'd be the one laughing. The beautiful thing about being married to someone for 7 years is that you learn all their passwords. Talia used the same combination everywhere, her birthday plus our anniversary year. She thought she was being clever. I spent the weekend collecting evidence while she was at her yoga retreat with Jenna and Danny. The retreat that, according to the credit card statements, was actually a weekend at the Marriott downtown. The same hotel where Colton had posted Instagram stories from the pool. By Sunday night, I had enough screenshots to fill a small novel. Photos, messages, hotel receipts, even a video she'd sent to the group chat of her trying on lingerie I'd never seen before. The comments from her friends were particularly illuminating. "Evan's going to die when he sees you in that," Jenna had written. Talia's response, "Evan's not the target audience anymore." But the real treasure was the conversation I found from last Thursday night, right after our dinner party disaster. Talia, "I think Evan's getting suspicious. He made some weird comment about me finding something bigger." Danny, "Maybe it's time to just tell him. You're already basically moved on." Talia, "I'm not ready yet. I need to make sure Colton's serious first. Plus, I want to figure out the money situation. Evan makes good money, and I don't want to lose that before I have something else lined up." Jenna, "Smart girl. Secure the bag first, then dump the extra weight." Reading those words felt like swallowing broken glass. 7 years of marriage, and I was extra weight to be disposed of once she'd figured out the financial angles. Monday morning, I started making moves. The house was titled in my name only. We'd bought it before we got married, and I'd never added her to the deed. I transferred it into a trust, with myself as the sole beneficiary. Our joint checking account got a lot lighter as I moved most of the funds to an account she didn't know about. I also canceled the credit cards that were in my name, including the one she'd been using to finance her affair. She'd find out about that soon enough. At work, Derek found me in the break room around 10 a.m., looking like I'd been hit by a truck. Rough night? He asked. Enlightening night, I corrected. I know everything now. Her boyfriend's name is Colton Brewer. He's a trainer at Elite Fitness. And get this, he has a girlfriend who has no idea he's screwing around. Derek poured himself coffee and sat down. So what's the play? I'm going to introduce myself to Colton today. Just a friendly conversation between men. That sounds ominous. It should. Elite Fitness was one of those gyms that charge 3 times what a normal gym costs because they had eucalyptus towels and kombucha on tap. I'd never been inside, but I had a guest pass courtesy of Talia's premium membership. I found Colton exactly where his Instagram stories suggested he'd be, by the free weights, wearing a tank top that might have been painted on. He was everything I wasn't, 6'2", probably 200 pounds of muscle, with the kind of jawline that made women forget their own names. He was also exactly the kind of guy who would steal someone's wife and post about it on social media. I waited until he was between sets, then approached with a protein shake I'd bought from the front desk. "Excuse me, are you Colton?" He looked up, taking in my 5'9" frame and obvious lack of gym membership. "Yeah, that's me. You looking for training sessions?" "Not exactly. I'm Evan Porter, Talia's husband." The protein shake he'd been holding slipped from his fingers and hit the floor with a wet splat. The sound echoed through the weight room, and several people turned to look. Colton's face went through about 6 different expressions in 3 seconds. Surprise, guilt, fear, calculation, and finally, forced confidence. "Oh, hey man, Talia's mentioned you." "I bet she has." I smiled, the same smile I used when explaining to clients why their entire system was about to crash. "She's mentioned you, too. Quite a lot, actually. Look, I don't know what you think. I think you should be more careful about your girlfriend's social media habits," I interrupted. "Vanessa seems like a nice girl. Pretty, too. I'd hate for her to find out that her boyfriend is entertaining married women at downtown hotels." The color drained from his face. "You don't know what you're talking about. Room 412 at the Marriott last weekend? You posted a story from the pool at 3:47 p.m. Talia posted a gym selfie with you at 4:15 p.m., but the metadata shows it was taken at the hotel. You both need to work on your alibis." Colton stepped closer, trying to use his size to intimidate me. "Listen, you little—" That's when I made my move. Not a punch or a shove. Something much more effective. I reached out and slapped the fresh protein shake out of his hand, sending it flying across the gym floor. The pink liquid splattered across the mirrors and weights, and the entire gym went silent. "Oops," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Sorry about that, Colton. I guess I'm just clumsy. Unlike some people, I'm not great with my hands." The double meaning wasn't lost on anyone within earshot. A few people actually laughed. Colton was trembling with rage, but he couldn't do anything, not with 30 people watching and recording on their phones. Instead, he had to stand there while I walked away, leaving him to clean up the mess. "See you around," I called over my shoulder. "Give my regards to Vanessa." That evening, Talia came home in a mood I'd never seen before. She slammed the front door hard enough to rattle the windows. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she screamed before I could even say hello. "Good evening to you too, honey. How was your day?" "Don't play dumb with me, Evan. You went to Colton's gym. You embarrassed him in front of everyone." "I introduced myself to your friend. I thought that was the polite thing to do." She got right in my face, close enough that I could smell the wine on her breath. "Stay away from him. I'm serious." "Or what? You'll post about it in your little group chat? Maybe take some more photos of me to share with your friends?" Her expression shifted from anger to something that looked almost like fear. "I don't know what you're talking about." Girls' Night Confessions. Ring a bell? Great group, by the way. Very supportive. I especially liked the post about the hotel keycard. Talia stepped back like I'd slapped her. "How did you—" "I'm good with computers, remember? You used to find that attractive. She tried to recover, crossing her arms and lifting her chin. Fine. So you know. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to give you exactly what you want, I said calmly. You want something bigger? You can have it. But first, I think your friends at work should see what kind of person they're dealing with. What does that mean? I pulled out my phone and showed her the email I'd sent 20 minutes earlier. The recipients list included her boss, HR manager, and the entire marketing department. I forwarded some of your posts to your colleagues, especially the ones with my private photos. Turns out sharing intimate images without consent is against company policy. Who knew? Talia's face went white. You didn't. I did. You should probably check your work email. I think Ms. Frey from HR wants to see you first thing tomorrow morning. She lunged for my phone, but I was already walking toward the stairs. Sweet dreams, honey, I called back. Try not to post about this one. I could hear her screaming behind me, but I didn't turn around. The show was just getting started, and I had a lot more surprises in store. The smallest man was about to leave the biggest mark. Talia left for work the next morning looking like she'd been hit by a freight train. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, wearing the same clothes from yesterday. She didn't say a word to me, just grabbed her keys and slammed the door. I gave her an hour head start, then called Derek. How'd it go? He asked. Phase 1 complete. She knows I know, and HR knows she's been sharing private photos without consent. Today should be interesting. You evil genius. What's Phase 2? I'm going to have a conversation with Vanessa. Finding Vanessa Rodriguez, I'd learned her last name from Colton's tagged photos, was easier than I'd expected. She worked at a veterinary clinic across town and had a very public Instagram account full of pictures with animals and her amazing boyfriend, Colton. The most recent post was from yesterday, a photo of them at dinner with the caption, 2 years and counting with this perfect man. Can't wait to see what the future holds. The comments were full of heart emojis and congratulations. If only she knew what her perfect man had been doing in hotel rooms with married women. I drove to the clinic during my lunch break. Vanessa was exactly what I'd expected. Beautiful in a natural way that didn't require professional lighting or filters. She was probably 27, with dark hair and the kind of smile that made you want to trust her immediately. Can I help you? She asked when I approached the front desk. I hope so. My name is Evan Porter. I think we need to talk about Colton. Her smile faltered. Is everything okay? Did something happen to him? He's fine, but there are some things you should know about how he spends his time. I handed her a manila envelope. Inside were printouts of every screenshot I'd collected. Talia's posts about their hotel visits, photos of them together, even the credit card statements showing the payments for his gym membership. Vanessa's hands shook as she flipped through the pages. Her face went through the same emotional journey I'd experienced. Confusion, disbelief, hurt, and finally, cold fury. How long? She whispered. At least 2 months based on what I found. Probably longer. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. Your wife? Soon to be ex-wife. I found out the same way you just did. I'm so sorry, she said, and I could tell she meant it. Don't apologize. We're both victims here. But we don't have to stay victims. Vanessa wiped her eyes and straightened her shoulders. What do you have in mind? I think Colton needs to learn that actions have consequences, and I think he needs to learn it publicly. She was quiet for a long moment, staring at the photos. Then she looked up at me with a smile that was sharp enough to cut glass. When do we start? That afternoon, while I was pretending to work on a client project, my phone buzzed with a text from Derek. Turn on the local news website, entertainment section. I pulled up the site and found exactly what I was hoping for. The headline read, Local Marketing Coordinator Fired for Social Media Misconduct. The article was brief but devastating. Talia Crane, 36, was terminated from her position at Morrison & Associates yesterday following an internal investigation into inappropriate use of company resources and violation of privacy policies. According to sources, Crane had been using company computers to maintain private social media accounts containing explicit content and personal information about individuals without their consent. The article didn't mention my name, but it didn't need to. Anyone who knew us would connect the dots. My phone rang immediately. It was Talia. "You destroyed my career," she said without preamble. "I can't get another job in marketing in this city. Everyone's going to know." "You destroyed your own career," I replied calmly. "I just provided the evidence. I'm going to sue you for what? Forwarding screenshots of posts you made voluntarily? Good luck with that." She hung up on me, but I wasn't done. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from an unknown number. "This is Jenna. We need to talk." I didn't respond. I had bigger plans for Jenna and Danny. That evening, I decided to take a drive past Elite Fitness. I wanted to see if Colton was working his usual Tuesday night shift. What I found was better than I'd hoped. Through the large windows, I could see Vanessa in the middle of the weight room, holding a cardboard box. Colton was standing in front of her, gesturing wildly, clearly trying to explain something. She wasn't buying it. As I watched, she turned the box upside down, dumping what looked like clothes, toiletries, and personal items all over the gym floor. Several gym members had stopped their workouts to watch the show. Then came the moment I'd been waiting for. Vanessa pulled her arm back and slapped Colton across the face hard enough that I could see his head snap to the side from 50 feet away. The entire gym erupted. People were pulling out phones, recording everything. Colton tried to grab Vanessa's arm, but she shoved him away and stormed toward the exit. I started my car and drove home, grinning the entire way. When I got there, I found Talia sitting on my front steps with 2 suitcases. She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. "The locks are changed," she said. "I know. I changed them. This is my house, too." "Actually, it's not. It never was. The deed is in my name only, and as of yesterday the house is in a trust. You have no legal claim to it." She stood up, swaying slightly. I could smell the wine from 10 feet away. "You can't just throw me out. I'm your wife. You're my wife who's been cheating on me for months, posting private photos of me online, and spending our money on your boyfriend. What exactly did you think was going to happen?" "I thought you'd fight for me," she said, and for a moment she sounded like the woman I'd married. "I thought you'd try to win me back." "Win you back from what? A personal trainer who just got dumped by his girlfriend in front of half the city? A guy who's probably going to lose his job tomorrow when the gym sees the videos of tonight's performance?" Her face crumpled. "You don't understand. I was confused. I made mistakes." "You made choices," I corrected. "And now you get to live with them. Where am I supposed to go? I hear your parents have a nice couch. Or maybe Jenna and Danny can help you out. They were very supportive of your choices." Talia picked up her suitcases and started walking toward her car. Halfway there, she turned back. "This isn't over, Evan." "Yes, it is. You made your bed, Talia. Now try finding someone bigger to share it with." I watched her drive away, then went inside and poured myself a drink. On the kitchen counter, I found a note that hadn't been there when I left. "We know what you did. This ends now, or everyone finds out about your secrets, too. J&D." I laughed out loud. Jenna and Danny thought they could threaten me. They had no idea what secrets I'd uncovered about them during my research. I pulled out my laptop and started typing. If they wanted to play hardball, I was about to show them what a real curveball looked like. The game was far from over, but I was definitely winning. Jenna West and Danielle Pruitt had made a crucial mistake. They assumed I was the same pushover who'd sat quietly through dinner parties while they mocked me. They were about to learn otherwise. I'd spent considerable time researching Talia's inner circle during my evidence-gathering phase. What I'd discovered was that people who live in glass houses really shouldn't throw stones. Jenna, for instance, had been having an affair with her married boss for 8 months. She'd been sloppy about it, using the company Slack channel for flirtation and booking business lunches at the same hotel where Talia and Colton had their encounters. Her husband Mark, a decent guy who coached Little League and volunteered at the animal shelter, had no idea. Danny's secret was even juicier. She'd been embezzling money from the nonprofit where she worked as treasurer, skimming donations meant for homeless veterans and using the cash to fund her shopping addiction. She'd gotten away with it because the organization was small and poorly audited, but the evidence was all there in the financial records she'd carelessly left accessible. Thursday morning, I created anonymous accounts on the neighborhood app where all the local gossip lived. The first post went up at 9 a.m. Anyone else notice Jenna West's car at the Marriott downtown every Tuesday and Thursday? Funny, since her husband Mark thinks she's at book club those nights. Even funnier, since her boss David Chen's car is always there too. Guess they're reading the same book. I attached photos I'd taken the previous week. Nothing invasive, just shots of their cars in the hotel parking lot with timestamps. The second post followed at 9:15. PSA. If you donated to Veterans First Foundation, you might want to ask Treasurer Danny Pruitt where your money actually went. Hint, check her Instagram for clues. Those designer handbags don't buy themselves. Financial records attached for anyone who's interested. Both posts exploded within hours. The neighborhood app had over 3,000 members, and gossip traveled faster than wildfire in our suburban community. By noon, my phone was buzzing with angry texts. Jenna, take down those posts right now or I'm calling the police. Me, on what grounds? Everything I posted is factually accurate and based on publicly available information. Danny, you're going to destroy my life over this stupid fight with Talia. Me, I'm not destroying anything. I'm just sharing information. What people do with it is up to them. The beauty of anonymous posting was that they couldn't prove I was behind it, even though we all knew the truth. That afternoon, Derek found me in the break room looking pleased with myself. You look like the cat who ate the canary, he said. More like the cat who watched the canaries eat each other, I replied, showing him my phone. Look at this. The neighborhood app was in full meltdown mode. Jenna's post trying to defend herself had backfired spectacularly when someone commented with additional photos of her and David Chen holding hands at a restaurant. Mark had apparently seen the posts and was asking pointed questions in the comments. Danny's situation was even worse. Someone had forwarded the financial information to the state attorney general's office, and Veterans First Foundation had issued a statement announcing an immediate audit of their books. Jesus, Evan, you're ruthless. I'm thorough. There's a difference. What about Talia? How's she handling all this? See for yourself. I pulled up her social media profiles. She'd tried to post a statement defending herself and her friends, but the comments were brutal. Her professional reputation was destroyed, her support network was imploding, and she was living with her parents for the first time since college. Her latest post was a selfie from her childhood bedroom with the caption, "Sometimes you have to go backward to go forward. New chapter starting soon." The comments were not supportive. Maybe the new chapter should be about taking responsibility for your actions. Girl, you brought this on yourself. Your husband dodged a bullet. Friday evening, I decided to return some of Talia's belongings that she'd left behind. I could have been discreet about it, but where was the fun in that? I loaded everything into my truck. Clothes, makeup, books, decorative items she'd brought to our marriage. Then I drove to her parents' house during the dinner hour, when I knew the neighbors would be outside with their kids. The Crane family lived in one of those neighborhoods where appearances mattered more than substance. Perfect lawns, expensive cars, and the kind of people who judged you based on your property value. I parked in front of their house and started unloading boxes onto their pristine front lawn, slowly, methodically, making sure every item was visible. Talia's father, Robert, came outside when I was halfway through the second box. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" he demanded. "Returning your daughter's property," I said pleasantly. I thought she might want her things. You can't just dump stuff on our lawn. Actually, I can. It's her stuff, and this is where she lives now. Simple logistics. Neighbors were starting to gather, pretending to walk dogs or check mailboxes while obviously watching the show. Talia appeared in the doorway, looking mortified. Evan, please, can't we handle this privately? You didn't want privacy when you were posting photos of me online, I replied, pulling out a particularly embarrassing item, a romance novel with a shirtless man on the cover. I held it up so everyone could see. Though I have to say, this explains a lot about your taste in men. Mrs. Crane rushed outside to help gather the items, but I wasn't finished. From the last box, I pulled out a framed photo of Talia and Colton that I'd found hidden in her dresser. Almost forgot this, I said loudly. Wouldn't want you to lose such a precious memory. I handed the frame to Talia, making sure the neighbors got a good look at the image. Then I climbed back into my truck and rolled down the window. Thanks for the memories, Talia, and thanks for the group chats. They were very educational. As I drove away, I could see her parents ushering her inside while neighbors whispered and pointed. By tomorrow, everyone in their social circle would know exactly what had happened. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. When I answered, I heard Colton's voice. This has gone far enough, he said. You've ruined everything. I didn't ruin anything. I just connected some dots. Vanessa won't talk to me. The gym fired me. I'm probably going to lose my apartment. Sounds like consequences. You should try them sometime. I want to meet, face to face, settle this like men. I almost laughed. What exactly do you want to settle? The fact that you were sleeping with my wife? The fact that you got caught? Or the fact that your girlfriend found out you're a cheater? Just meet me. Tomorrow night, the parking lot behind Elite Fitness. Come alone. Or what? Or I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are. Colton, everyone already knows what kind of man I am. I'm the kind who doesn't let people walk all over him. But sure, I'll meet you. This should be fun. After I hung up, I started planning. If Colton wanted a confrontation, I'd give him one. But it would be on my terms, not his. The smallest man was about to get even smaller, and I wasn't talking about myself. Saturday evening, I arrived at the Elite Fitness parking lot 30 minutes early. I'd learned a long time ago that preparation beats improvisation, and tonight was going to require both. I'd installed a dash cam in my truck the previous week, not just for this meeting, but because I'd anticipated that desperate people do desperate things. I also had my phone set to record and back up to cloud storage automatically. Colton showed up right on time, driving a beat-up Honda that was a far cry from the BMW he'd been leasing. Apparently, losing your job affects your transportation options. He got out of the car looking like he'd been through a blender. His usual perfect hair was messy, his clothes were wrinkled, and he had the kind of stubble that comes from not caring rather than styling. You came, he said, walking toward me. I'm a man of my word, unlike some people. Look, we need to end this. Call off whatever you're doing to me and Talia. I leaned against my truck, completely relaxed. I'm not doing anything to you, Colton. You did it to yourself when you decided to sleep with someone else's wife. She was going to leave you anyway. We just accelerated the timeline. How noble of you, taking one for the team. His face flushed red. You don't understand. We love each other. Really? Then why isn't she here supporting you? Why are you living in that studio apartment across town instead of moving in together? His expression told me I'd hit the mark. She's dealing with family stuff. She's dealing with the fact that you were a fun distraction, not a life plan. You were her midlife crisis, not her future. Shut up. Think about it, Colton. If she really loved you, would she have let you take all the heat for this? Would she be hiding at her parents' house while you lose your job and your girlfriend? I said, shut up. He took a step toward me, hands clenched into fists. This was exactly what I'd been waiting for. What are you going to do, Colton? Hit me? In a parking lot with security cameras? That'll really improve your situation. You ruined my life. No, I exposed your choices. There's a difference. That's when he snapped. Colton lunged at me, throwing a wild punch that I easily sidestepped. He stumbled forward, off balance, and I helped him along with a gentle push that sent him sprawling onto the asphalt. Careful there, big guy, I said, making sure my voice carried to the recording devices. Wouldn't want you to hurt yourself. He scrambled to his feet, even angrier now. Fight me like a man. Why would I fight you? You're doing a perfectly good job of destroying yourself without my help. Colton charged again, this time trying to tackle me. I stepped aside and grabbed the water bottle I'd brought, squeezing it so the contents sprayed all over his head and shoulders. Oops, I said. Slippery fingers. He stood there dripping, looking like a drowned rat, while I calmly got back into my truck. This isn't over, he snarled. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. I drove home feeling satisfied. The entire encounter had been recorded from multiple angles, showing clearly that Colton had been the aggressor while I'd remained calm and defensive. Sunday morning brought news that made my weekend complete. Derek called me at 8 a.m., barely able to contain his laughter. Turn on Channel 7, he said. You're going to love this. The local news was running a story about the Veterans First Foundation scandal. Danny's embezzlement had made the morning show, complete with her mugshot and details about the missing funds. Danielle Pruitt, 34, was arrested yesterday on charges of embezzling over $40,000 from the Veterans First Foundation, a local nonprofit that provides services to homeless veterans, the anchor read. Pruitt allegedly used her position as treasurer to redirect donations for personal use over a period of 18 months. The story included interviews with veterans who'd been affected by the missing funds. It was devastating. My phone buzzed with a text from Jenna. Are you happy now? You've destroyed all of us. I didn't respond. I was too busy watching the second story, which was about a local marketing firm conducting an internal investigation after inappropriate relationships between supervisors and subordinates came to light. Jenna's boss, David Chen, had apparently been placed on administrative leave pending the investigation. Her husband, Mark, had filed for divorce. By Monday morning, the whole situation had reached a crescendo. I arrived at work to find my boss, Mr. Regan, waiting by my desk. Evan, can we talk in my office? I followed him, wondering if somehow the weekend's events had reached my workplace. But when we sat down, Mr. Regan was smiling. I don't know what's been going on in your personal life, he said, but I want you to know that the company supports you completely. HR got some calls over the weekend from people trying to cause trouble for you, but we've reviewed everything and there are no concerns. Thank you, sir. Between you and me, it sounds like you handled a difficult situation with a lot more class than most people would have, and that software patch you submitted Friday was brilliant. I'm recommending you for the senior architect position. After our meeting, I sat at my desk thinking about how quickly things could change. A month ago, I'd been the butt of jokes, the small man married to a woman who was publicly humiliating him. Now Talia was unemployed and living with her parents. Colton was broke and alone. Jenna's marriage was over, and her career was in ruins. Danny was facing criminal charges, and I was getting promoted. Derek appeared at my cubicle around 10 a.m. So what's next? You've pretty much won at this point. Not quite, I said. There's still one more move to make. That evening, I got the call I'd been expecting. Talia's number showed up on my phone, and when I answered, she was crying. Evan, please, we need to talk. What about? About us, about fixing this. There is no us to fix, Talia. You made that clear months ago. I made a mistake. I was confused, and I let other people influence me, but I know now that you're the man I want to be with. Interesting timing, right after your boyfriend lost his job and your friends' lives fell apart. This isn't about them. This is about us. No, this is about you realizing that actions have consequences. You wanted something bigger than what we had. Well, congratulations. You got it. I'm filing for divorce, she said suddenly, her tears turning to anger. And I'm going to take half of everything you have. Good luck with that. You might want to check the prenup you signed. There was silence on the other end of the line. What prenup? She finally whispered. The one you signed right before our wedding. The one that says if either party commits adultery, they forfeit any claim to marital assets. I have documentation of your affair, remember? You can't. That's not. It's completely legal and binding. You can ask any lawyer. In fact, you should ask a lawyer, because you're going to need one. I hung up and poured myself a drink. Tomorrow would bring the final act of this drama, and I wanted to be well rested for it. The smallest man was about to have his biggest day. Tuesday evening, I was grilling dinner on my back patio when I heard car doors slamming in my driveway. Through the fence, I could see Talia's Honda and Colton's beat-up replacement car parked behind it. This was going to be interesting. I'd been expecting this visit ever since our phone conversation. Desperate people do desperate things, and Talia and Colton had reached peak desperation. They'd probably spent the day planning some grand gesture or final confrontation. They were about to learn why I'd been 3 steps ahead of them this entire time. I could hear them arguing as they approached my front door. This is stupid, Colton was saying. He's not going to listen to reason. He'll listen, Talia replied. He has to. The doorbell rang, followed immediately by aggressive knocking. I took my time finishing my burger, then walked through the house to answer it. Talia stood on my front step looking like she'd been through hell. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes were wrinkled, and she had the kind of dark circles under her eyes that come from not sleeping. Colton lurked behind her, trying to look intimidating, but mostly succeeding at looking pathetic. We need to talk, Talia said. No, we don't. We said everything that needed saying yesterday. Let us in, Evan. Please. This is my house. You don't live here anymore. It's our house, she said, pushing past me into the foyer. I have rights. Colton followed her inside, and I let them. I'd been preparing for this moment all week. Nice place, Colton said, looking around. Must be worth a lot. More than you'll ever see, I replied. Talia turned to face me, and I could see she'd been crying recently. Evan, I know you're hurt. I know I made mistakes, but we can fix this. We? Colton and we're over. It was a mistake. A stupid, selfish mistake. I looked at Colton, who was staring at the floor. Is that true, big guy? You're giving up on true love? It was never going to work, he mumbled. Ah, so now that you've both lost everything, you want to come crawling back to the stable, boring husband with the steady income. It's not like that, Talia protested. It's exactly like that. You wanted to trade up, remember? Well, congratulations. You traded a marriage for a few months of hotel affair and social media attention. How's that working out for you? Talia's composure cracked. You destroyed my life. I lost my job, my friends, my reputation, all because you couldn't handle the fact that I found someone better. Better? I laughed. Look at him, Talia. Really look at him. He's unemployed, broke, and living in a studio apartment. His girlfriend dumped him, his career is over, and he's standing in my house begging for scraps. That's your upgrade? Colton's head snapped up. Watch your mouth. Or what? You'll throw another tantrum like you did in the parking lot? I have that whole thing on video, by the way. Very entertaining. You recorded us? I record everything now. It's amazing how differently people behave when they know there's evidence. Talia stepped between us. Stop it, both of you. Evan, I'm asking you one last time. Can we please try to work this out? Work what out? You cheated on me, humiliated me publicly, and spent months planning to leave me once you'd secured your financial future. What exactly is there to work out? I said I was sorry. No, you said you made a mistake. That's not the same thing. She stared at me for a long moment. Then her expression hardened. Fine. If you won't be reasonable, we'll have to do this the hard way. What's the hard way? Colton stepped forward, trying to look threatening. We know things about you too, Evan. Things that could ruin your precious reputation. Such as the way you stalked us, the harassment, the illegal recording, the way you manipulated people and destroyed lives. I almost felt sorry for them. Almost. You mean the way I documented your affair using publicly available information? The way I forwarded screenshots of posts you made voluntarily? The way I defended myself when you attacked me in a parking lot? You know what you did, Talia said. Yes, I do. I exposed the truth. I let people see who you really are, and now you're mad because you don't like what they saw. That's when things got physical. Colton, probably tired of being called pathetic, decided to prove his masculinity by shoving me backward into my own living room. Big mistake, I said, hitting the button on my phone that activated the security system I'd installed the previous week. Suddenly, my sprinkler system activated, soaking both of them with cold water. The outdoor speakers I'd connected to my sound system started blaring audio from Talia's group chat posts. My husband versus my gym trainer. Spot the difference. Her recorded voice echoed through the neighborhood. What the hell? Colton sputtered, trying to shield himself from the water. This is what I get messages about while Colton sends me actual fire emojis. The speakers continued. Talia was screaming, trying to find the controls to shut off the system, but I'd hidden them well. The water kept coming, and the audio kept playing. By now, my neighbors were coming outside to see what the commotion was about. Mrs. Patterson from next door had her phone out, recording everything. The Johnson family from across the street was standing on their porch, watching the show. Turn it off, Talia shrieked. I don't think so, I said, staying dry under the covered porch. You wanted everyone to know your business. Now they do. Colton tried to charge at me again, but the wet tile made him slip and slide into my outdoor furniture. He went down hard, taking a patio chair with him. Careful there, champ, I called out. That's real teak, probably worth more than your car. The speakers switched to a different recording. Evan's not the target audience anymore. Talia finally gave up trying to stop the system and ran for her car, soaking wet and humiliated. Colton scrambled after her, slipping twice more on the wet walkway. As they reached their cars, I walked to the edge of my porch and called out, loud enough for all the neighbors to hear, "Thanks for stopping by. Don't be strangers." The sprinklers finally shut off, and the speakers went quiet. My neighbors were still standing around, phones out, clearly having recorded the entire spectacle. Mrs. Patterson walked over to my fence. Everything okay over there, Evan? Just fine, Mrs. Patterson. Just saying goodbye to some old friends. Well, if you need anything, you let us know. We're all behind you. Similar offers of support came from the other neighbors. It seemed my reputation in the community was intact. As Talia and Colton drove away, I noticed a police car turning onto my street. Someone had probably called about the noise. The officer pulled up to my driveway and got out. Evening, sir. We got a call about a disturbance? Just some unwelcome visitors who got caught in my sprinkler system, I said. They've left now. The officer looked around at the wet patio and the neighbors who were still milling about with their phones. Any problems we need to know about? None at all, officer. Just a misunderstanding that's been resolved. Mrs. Patterson spoke up from her yard. Officer, those people were trespassing and causing trouble. Evan here handled it perfectly. We all saw what happened. The other neighbors murmured their agreement. The officer nodded and got back in his car. Have a good evening, folks. Try to keep it down. As the police car drove away, I looked around at my neighbors, my house, and my life. A month ago, I'd been a joke. Tonight, I was the man who'd stood up for himself and won. Derek called me 20 minutes later. Dude, you're all over social media. Someone posted a video of your sprinkler system soaking your ex-wife and her boyfriend. It's going viral. Good. Let people see what happens when you mess with the wrong person. So what now? Is it over? I looked out at my peaceful neighborhood, then at the security footage on my phone showing Talia and Colton's humiliating retreat. Yeah, Derek, it's over, and I won. The smallest man had just had his biggest day. Talia and Colton were gone, their reputations in ruins, their support systems collapsed. Jenna's marriage was over, and Danny was facing criminal charges. I had my house, my job, my dignity, and the respect of everyone who mattered. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting mad. It's getting even, getting smart, and getting everything you deserve. I guess I'm not so small after all.